My Seiko journey started with Seiko 5. The first was an SNXS 80. I didn't love it, and after a month I gave it to my wife, and then we eventually sold it. I don't technically consider this my first modern Seiko purchase, but technically this was my first Seiko I bought in the last few years. Next was the SRPD 61, and when I got it, it was everything I ever wanted in a watch. It was handsome, it was green, automatic with a see-through case back. It was the perfect beater, it was a strap monster, had classic style inspired by the iconic SKX. I ended up selling it because although it was a great watch, I was craving something more for what I wanted out of the Seikos in my collection. Moving on from Seiko 5, my first Prospex purchase was the SSC 911. This was the Saitona Panda dial in 41mm. I was drawn to this watch because I got on this chronograph kick that I couldn't shake. Mechanical chronos are hella expensive, so I decided to settle for a solar quartz, and quite frankly, I'm glad I did because it's pretty nice being able to just pick something up without having to set the time after not wearing it for a few days. Just having at least one watch like that is pretty convenient. The biggest differences I felt between this watch and the Seiko 5 SRPD was the bracelet and the crystal. This Prospex SSC 911 comes with a domed sapphire with inner AR that does this distortion thing when you look at it from an angle. I think it's pretty nice and elevates the experience a bit. The second thing is the bracelet. Milled parts and solid end links are less jangly and offer up tighter tolerances. I ended up trading my friend Andrew my Oris TT1 for his SKX, and it was a bad trade for me in terms of value, but I'm happy with the trade because I love my SKX. I started doing little mods to it, and personally it's one of my favorite watches in my collection right now. It's a timeless design, and owning the original over the 5KX edifies my collection and connects me deeper with the brand. I went to Tokyo last year. Honestly, one of the best, most iconic trips of my life. While I was there, I almost pulled the trigger on an SPB 405. I was in the flagship boutique in Ginza for like an hour just staring at this thing. I wanted it so bad, but this was like day 2 of our trip and didn't want to spend the whole bag on the first day. And shout out to that AD in that store. I apologize for being obnoxious. And plus, I really wanted a Grand Seiko. I ended up buying the Grand Seiko SPGA 027. I have no regrets, but I still think about that Urushi Presage a lot. In Tokyo, I did buy a Seiko Spirit. It's a SCED 053. It's a JDM Giugiaro designed rider's chronograph. I love the design, but I don't love the bracelet and the plastic pushers. This was definitely an impulse buy and something I'll probably end up selling at some point. In Waikiki last year, I bought the SPB 381. I love this watch so much to the point where if I ever needed to sell my whole collection, this will probably be the watch that I keep. The finishing on the case is next level. The 3-day power reserve, the GMT function, ceramic bezel, everything about this watch speaks to me. I think it's because low-key, one of my dream grails is the Submariner Hulk, which is why I bought the SRPD in green. And this was kind of a full circle moment for me because the SRPD was a great watch, but the SPB 381 kind of fulfills all the perfection that I was wanting in the SRPD, if that makes sense. This is my favorite watch in my collection right now, even more than my Grand Seiko and my Black Bay. I bought a few more Seikos after the SPB 381. First is the Seikos Essentials SSB 429 and a vintage Seiko 5 5126. These were both impulse purchases and I'll probably end up selling them. For my channel regulars, I've decided that I'm going to keep the SSC 911. Out of the 3 Seiko chronographs that I bought over the last few years, I think the SSC 911 speaks to me the most. I feel the most when I'm wearing this watch over the other 2, and I would say it's the build quality, the finishing, and the overall comfort that won me over. So this doesn't cover everything, and there's a whole other higher tier of Seiko that could be also considered in the mix, but the question I want to throw out there is, are the more expensive Seiko offerings worth it? After starting my channel last year and advertising myself as a watch enthusiast, the one question I always get hit with is, what watch should I buy? The easy answer is to suggest a modern Seiko 5, but sometimes the conversations become more nuanced depending on the person and the type of needs that person requires. Like, the SRPD line is a great everyday tool watch, but is it something you could wear with a suit? Or if I suggest a cocktail time, is that something you can wear every day? Can you go hiking with it? Do you want to take that watch with you on vacation to the beach? A few months back, I bought a SSK-001 for my friend. When comparing the Seiko 5 GMT to the Prospex Marine Master GMT, I could really tell the difference between what a $500 watch offers versus what a $1,500 watch offers. It's the same watch that serves the same function and needs, but every single aspect of the Prospex was elevated compared to the Seiko 5. Power reserve, crystal, finishing, bracelet. Everything on the Prospex is noticeably nicer and more elevated. Even comparing a Presage Cocktail Time versus the Presage Craftsman Urushi, there is a noticeable difference in the quality and overall performance. High prices in Seiko usually give you better finishing, tighter tolerances, and deeper water resistance depth ratings. And this is where micro brands disrupt everything, but in the world of Seiko, the more money you dish out, the better quality you get. Clocks are a ubiquitous thing. They're needed everywhere, and wearing a watch has been a constant for me since the 10th grade. Time is valuable, and the fact that there is an art to creating devices that we can wear is honestly one of the coolest things to collect and celebrate on the planet, in my opinion. Seiko is my favorite brand, and I have every intention to keep collecting Seiko watches no matter what. So to answer our question, if higher priced Seiko is worth it. If you are someone that appreciates nice things, that loves digging into the history of the world and industries, considers yourself to have an elevated sense of style and taste, and loves or has a budding interest in Japanese culture, I think jumping into the next price tier of Seiko is worth the money, especially around that $800 to $1,500 range. Honestly, you can find Seikos cheaper all around the internet anyways. I've enjoyed owning my two more expensive Seiko watches, and after a few years of collecting, none of my more affordable Seikos made it or are going to make the cut. If you're just starting out collecting and you're here because you're looking at that one watch from Seiko and are hesitant to spend that little extra cash for something in the Presage or Prospex line, I'm here to say it's worth it. Get that watch that first caught your eye. I promise you won't regret it.